All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are going to now get into discussing the Jets and their loss to the Arizona Cardinals. And, first I want to give the Cardinals props because they're 6-4 right now, and they continue to win games. This is now their fourth straight victory, and they're in first place right now in their division, so you got to give them credit. And, you got the 49ers who are half a game behind them, the Rams losing. That definitely helped them out. So I give them credit. And, they are a physical team with running the football. And that's why, this game was going to be tough for the Jets. And, I did end up taking them this week. And I knew it was not going to be. I just knew what was coming, but I just still ended up doing it to myself. And this game was never close. And again, I didn't really get to watch a ton of football, especially the 4 o'clock game, or, well, here on the East Coast, the 4 o'clock games. But the late window games because of where I was over the weekend. But I did watch the highlights, and, yeah, it just not a good performance by the Jets all around. They couldn't tackle. They just could not score in the end. They could not get into the end zone. It was a collective disaster. And, even after they won against the Texans last week, and as my camera begins to act up, speaking of disasters, it's still, Jet fans were still not overly optimistic that this team was going to, turn it around. And that still ended up being they end up being right because they ended up losing this game. And it's unfortunate because I was hoping that the Jets were going to be a good team this year. And look, I'll admit it. I was wrong. And I kept saying, I said it over and over and over again. I said, I'm going to go towards that storm. I know what I'm getting myself into by being on the optimistic side of this team. And I got engulfed by that storm. I really did. I got engulfed and it spit me out. It's been really bad. And it's not like it's one thing with this team. It's a collection of things. The offense is inconsistent because we saw what they did in the second half against the Texans. They looked like a competent offense. But then here, they just could not generate anything. Davante Adams didn't have a catch until the second half, I believe. Him and Aaron Rodgers cannot get on the same page for whatever reason. The inconsistencies with the offense, they can't protect the quarterback. The quarterback can't throw the ball down the field. I mean, there's been a lot of times where Rodgers has been checking it down to his running backs. There's no, where is the vertical passing game? And we saw a little bit of that last week. The passes to Garrett Wilson, the passes to Davante Adams, but the consistency is not there. They also can't protect Aaron Rodgers. I mean, on that 4th and goal, he gets absolutely drilled and loses the ball. They get no point. They get no points out of that drive. They were trying to, get into the end zone because they were falling behind, or they fell behind early, and he ends up getting sacked, loses the ball there. And on top of that, this defense, what happened? They can't tackle. I mean, Trey McBride is getting. Sauce Gardner has Trey McBride wrapped up, and he can't get him down. And Trey McBride ends up picking up a first down. This was on third down. And now you got Jet fans on social media and Jet fans all around now calling him Ahmed Gardner instead, because Sauce Gardner has not had a good year. It's just it's not good. It's not good. And it's just there's a lot of blame to go around, and this is looking like a colossal failure. Now, I was definitely hoping for better results when they traded for Aaron Rodgers. And I think we all assume that, look, the Jets have a very good defense. Rodgers doesn't have to be spectacular. He just has to be, average, and the Jets will win football games. Well, last year happened. He ends up getting hurt, only plays 4 snaps. And then this year comes around, and, he's played every single game, but the Jets are 3-7. But again, it's not just him. It's a collective effort. And it is looking like that was a bad move to let Saleh go, Robert Saleh, in the middle of the year. I think it would have made sense. It would have made more sense had they let him go before the year or after the year, after this season. But they ended up letting him go mid-season, and Ulbricht, he can't handle this. And it's not his fault either. He got put into this situation. He got thrown into the fire with this. So, it's not really his fault, but this really, that was not the right move to do that. And Jet fans are outraged by this, and they have every right to be, because this was supposed to be, they were supposed to get better results than this, and they're not. And you look at what's going to happen after this year, I mean, who knows? Aaron Rodgers, I think it's like a $49 million cap hit for next year. So is he going to come back? Is he going to walk away? I think I saw one of the conditions for Davante Adams coming to the Jets was that Aaron Rodgers was going to be the quarterback in 2025. So I don't know, but they got to bring in a proven head coach. If they have two outcomes from this. It's that you bring Rodgers and Davante Adams back, you get in a proven head coach, and then you see, maybe if things change. Or you just get rid of everybody. I mean, I think, is Joe Douglas going to be gone as well? I mean, that's probably what's going to end up happening because, he made all these moves and this team is 3-7. So somebody's going to lose their job. I mean, Saleh lost his job already, so Joe Douglas is probably the next one. But it's going to be really interesting. But the Jets are kind of just going in circles right now. And, I thought that the results were going to be better, but they're just not. They're just not. And it does not surprise me about the outcome of this game. Now, I did think that the offense was going to put up a little bit of a better showing because the Cardinals' defense is not that good, but the Jets made them look really good. But you got to give the Cardinals credit. They are playing really well right now. They had 147 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. He had 2 rushing touchdowns by Kyler Murray, 1 by James Conner. James Conner was actually their leading receiver. He had 5 receptions for 80 yards. Trey McBride, 4 for 71. Marvin Harrison Jr. had 5 for 54 and a touchdown. Cardinals defense, 3 sacks in the game for the Jets. Aaron Rodgers, 22 of 35 for 151 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Only 79 yards on the ground. 52 by Breece Hall, 27 by Braylon Allen. Garrett Wilson, 41 yards receiving. Davante Adams, 31 yards receiving. He had 13 targets. But like I said, he didn't do anything in the first half. And then Rodgers had the fumble, of course. And the Jets' defense only 1 sack of Kyler Murray. And, yeah, they lose 31-6. Cardinals went right down the field in their first drive. They went 6 plays, 70 yards. And James Conner scored. Then the Jets actually responded with a field goal, but then the Cardinals scored a touchdown. The Jets responded with another field goal. Cardinals got another touchdown. So the Cardinals scored touchdowns on their first 3 possessions. They scored on all of their possessions in the first half. And then the Jets fumbled. They're going down the field, and then Rodgers fumbles at the Cardinals 3, and then the Cardinals turned that into a touchdown. So they scored on every possession to start, the first 3 quarters, basically. The first 5 possessions. But then they finally punted in the third quarter, and the Jets did put together some lengthy drives, but it resulted in nothing. They punted in the third quarter, the Cardinals, and then their last drive of the game, that's what ended the game. So, yeah, it just was not a good day for the Jets. And the other thing, too, I want to bring up as well, this is what happened when they were on a Thursday night against the Patriots. They beat the Patriots. You have 10 days off, and then you lose 10-9 to the Broncos. You had 10 days off. You had another mini bye week. And you come out like that. Team is just not prepared. And then I know Rodgers comments at the end of the game. I mean, he says they had a good practice. He just, and he said it before. Something along the lines of where's the energy. I know that I don't know if that was another week, but yeah, like what is going on? How do you have this much time off to prepare and you come out like that? It just doesn't make sense. But it's just maybe it's just the team's not good. The team isn't good. They do have a collection of talent, but they're not a team. That's the best way to put it. That's how it's been put. They are a collection of talent, but they are not a team. And if this is how Aaron Rodgers is going to go out, you could argue that this is worse than last year. With the injury. Because if he just would have retired on the Achilles, because he thought about it, he wouldn't have come back this year, and we wouldn't. And it's not like his numbers are horrific. They're not terrible, but they're not great. We expected more out of him. But then again, he is a 40-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury. So I was hoping for better results, and it just didn't happen. That storm engulfed me. So I was dead wrong about the Jets, and I will own it. And we'll see what they do after this year, but it's unfortunate because I did want to see them do well. I wanted to see Rodgers do well, put together one last solid year, and then maybe call it a career. Maybe he comes back next year and he shocks everybody, but it's just his last year in Green Bay was not great. I mean, they almost made the playoffs, they before they lost to the Lions, they looked like they were going to finish the season strong and get into the playoffs. And then, of course, last year happens, and now this year, it's just, now everybody's like, he's not Tom Brady. And, yeah, you're right. He's not Tom Brady. But, again, I would argue that Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, Peyton Manning, they went to good situations. They had stability at the head coach. They had playmakers. And the Jets had playmakers. We thought they had a good defense, but I think one of the biggest things for why the Jets have not done well this year is coaching. That's really what it comes down to. Coaching matters. Look at the Bears. Look at how they're doing right now. I think, if you have a better head coach in there, an offensive-minded head coach, the Bears' offense, I mean, we thought they started to figure it out, but they've gone backwards. But the last couple weeks, they've kind of reverted back to how it was in the beginning of the year. But yeah, the coaching does matter, and you could have Aaron Rodgers, but you also need to have a good head coach. And right now, they got an interim head coach, and who knows what this season's going to finish like. But they're going to win maybe like one or two more games, the way they're playing right now. It's not good. Not good. So let me know what you guys think, though, about this game. What were your takeaways from it? Again, give the Cardinals their flowers. They deserve it. Jonathan Gannon's got this team playing well, and they're in first place. So, and the Jets are a third-place team. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think about this game. We're going to take our next break. When we come back, we will talk about the other football team in New York. We'll talk about the Giants and their loss to the Carolina Panthers. So make sure to stick around, and we will be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.